and it states that express the permutation, this permutation here, as a product of disjoint cycles. So I have a solution written here, so I'm going to explain how we arrived at this and how we finally arrived at this. So when they say express any permutation at all as a product of disjoint cycle, what they want you to do is to follow the mapping from the right side to the left side for all the elements. But we're going to be starting with the smallest, the least element here, which is 1. So here, 1 maps to 2. We pick that. We come to the next cycle. Here, 2 maps to what? 2 maps to 2. 2 maps to 2. We know that whenever we can't find an element in a cycle, it means that it maps to itself. It means that it is fixed in that cycle. So here, 1 maps to 2. I follow on and say 2 maps to 2. Then I move on to here and 2 maps to 4. That's how I have this sequence here. 1 maps to 2, 2 maps to 2, and then 2 maps to 4. I'm going to take that again. 1 maps to 2, 2 is fixed here, so 2 maps to 2, and then we bring the 2 here and look for what it maps to. So 2 here maps to 4. What this shows us is that if we start from 1 here, we're going to end up with 4 here, which eventually means that 1 maps to 4. Do you get? 1 maps to 2, 2 maps to 2, 2 maps to 4, 1 maps to 2, 2 maps to 2, 2 maps to 4, which means 1 maps to 4. Then I now continue the cycle from 4. Here, 4 maps to what? 4 maps to itself because 4 is fixed. So 4 maps to 4, 4 maps to 10, 10 maps to 10. That's what we have here. 4 maps to 4, 4 maps to 10, 10 maps to 10, which means that 4 maps to 10. Then I pick that 10. 10 here maps to 10 because 10 is fixed. Then 10 maps to 7, then 7 maps to 5, which means 10 maps to 5. 10 maps to 10, 10 maps to 7, 7 maps to 5, which means 10 maps to 5. So I continue to do that till this particular point where I have 3. So I'm testing for 3 now. 3 here is fixed, so 3 maps to 3, and then 3 maps to 1, and then 1 maps to 1. So you remember that we started with 1. The beginning of the cycle is 1. Because 3 has mapped back to 1, it means that if we start and we go all over again, if I decide to use this 1 and say, okay, what does 1 map to again? I'm still going to get this cycle again. That's why here I said this cycle closes, which means we are going to end that particular cycle there. So we ended the cycle there using all of this from 1, 4, 10, 5, 6, 7, 3. Do you understand? So next thing is that once we've closed the particular cycle, we're going to look for elements here generally that we have that has not been expressed in the cycle or that we have not mapped to at all, and start mapping them. So the smallest element, like I said, we always start with the least element. That's how we started with 1 the first time, but we've used 1 in this cycle already. So the next smallest element is 2. So 2 here maps to what? 2 maps to 5. Here 5 maps to 5, and then 5 maps to 9. Whenever an element is at the end, it maps to the element that starts. So 5 maps to 9 because 5 maps to the beginning. So that's what I have here. 2 maps to 5, 5 maps to 5, 5 maps to 9. Let me take that again. 2 here maps to 5 because it's at the end. 2 maps to 5. Here 5 is fixed, so 5 maps to 5. Here 5 maps to 9, which means 2. If I start with 2 here, I'm going to end up with 9 here, which means 2 maps to 9. Then I follow the same way I was following the sequence here. I'm going to follow it here again. So 9 here. Remember, we always start from the right side. 9 here maps to 9 because 9 is fixed. 9 here also maps to 9 again because 9 is fixed. So 9 maps to 9, 9 maps to 9, and then here 9 maps to 2. So 9 maps to 9, 9 maps to 9, 9 maps to 9, which means 9 maps to 2. Just to know what maps to what at this end here, just pick the first and last number. 1, 4, 4, 10, 10, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 3, 3, 1. That's why we have all of this here. So since 9 maps to 2 again, if I decide to continue again, it's still going to give me the same thing. So the cycle closes. We have just 2 and 9 in this particular cycle. Then we look at our entire permutation. Which number have we not touched? We've not touched 8. So we're going to start with 8 this time around because that's the least number that we've not touched. It's the only number, so it can only be the least. So here 8 maps to 8, here 8 maps to 3, and then 3 maps to 8.